Hello Miners and welcome back. I got another fun one for you today. We are playing Mono Black Aggro with a few new additions from the Final Fantasy set in the form of Cecil Dark Knight and Shadow Mysterious Assassin. So this is a low to the ground Mono Black Aggro deck that is just looking to use cheap scalable threats in the form of stuff like Stalactite Stalker, Netherglyph, Barrowglyph, to overpower your opponent as quickly as possible while messing with their game plan with a bunch of disruption in the form of Thought Seizes, Hymn to Turok, and some removal in Bloodchief's Thirst, and to power out multiple things on turn 1 or on early turns. We have a full playset of Dark Rituals just to be able to multi-spell as quickly as possible. So the new additions to this deck are Cecil Dark Knight, which is a 1-mana 2/3 with Death Touch, and it has an ability whenever it deals damage, you lose life equal to half of, whenever it deals damage, you lose that much life. Then if your life total is less than or equal to half of your starting life total, you transform it into Cecil Redeemed Paladin, which is a 4/4 lifelink. Whenever it attacks, other attacking creatures gain indestructible until the end of turn. So it's playing a little fast and loose with your life total to start, but then it flips into a rather large lifelinker that acts as protection for your other creatures and helps you gain all of that life back. In addition, we have All-Star Barrowglyph, which has lifelink and Death Touch to help you gain life back. So even though you play a little fast and loose with your life total to start with, you are going to gain it back eventually with the help of the backside of Cecil or with Barrowglyphs. We also have Shadow Mysterious Mercenary, which is a 3/3 Death Toucher for 3. It is essentially our black version of Broadside Bombardiers. The only real difference between the two, other than their keywords and their power and toughness, is that in order to do the throw ability, Shadow has to deal damage to a player first. Otherwise, you can't throw whatever it is you're going to throw at them. And if you do connect with it, you get to throw. It only deals damage equal to the mana value. It's not mana value +2 the way the Broadside Bombardiers is. However, you get to draw 2 cards. So it's making up for the lack of damage and card advantage. So 2 cool little additions to an otherwise pretty stock mono black aggro deck list. You've got Dauthi Voidwalkers as an aggressive threat and a way to mess with your opponent's graveyard. You've got Orcish Bowmasters to punish cantrips and card draw. Shouldered on the top end to gain you a little more life and to punish your opponent's card draw effects. Then 3 Mishra's Baubles and 1 Nile Spellbomb main as forms of card draw and to guarantee that you're triggering Descend to grow your Stalactite Stalker every turn. Nile Spellbomb, mess with your opponent's graveyard in addition to Dauthi Voidwalker. And with all the graveyard decks running around the format, this much main deck graveyard hate is kind of a necessity if you're not just in a dedicated aggro deck, or sorry, dedicated combo deck that can just combo your opponent before they can do anything with their graveyard. Pretty low to the ground standard aggro mana base. Bunch of fetch lands to guarantee that we can trigger Descend and to make sure that we have card types in the graveyard for Netherglyph and Barrowglyph. Bunch of basic swamps, full play set of wastelands to screw with your opponent's mana, and a single underground mortuary for a little bit of card selection. The sideboard is a whole bunch of stuff to interact with your opponent. You got stuff like Disruptor Flute to shut down activated abilities out of the Nadu breakfast style decks, Null Rod to shut down artifact combo decks, Powder Keg and Filigree Silex to act as board wipes to wipe up go wide strategies, the One Ring for some protection and card draw, and Opposition Agent to shut down decks that are looking to search, such as shutting down stuff like Entomb out of the Dimir Reanimator deck, shutting down Natural Orders and Green Sun Zeniths out of Cradle control, or just to punish your opponent's fetch lands so that you can mana screw them in another way. So let's see if the new cards from Final Fantasy are a shot in the arm to a pretty sleek mono black aggro deck. Take this through a league, see how it does, and I'll catch you all in the wrap-up. Play any of the decks you see on this channel with a Mana Traders rental subscription. With a variety of tiers to fit any budget, Mana Traders lets you play whatever you want in whatever format you want. Use code DasSourKraut at checkout and become a better player today. Alright, well, this is a no-lander, so this is completely unkeepable. Already starting out to a great start here. Gonna ship this. Okay, I actually don't hate this. We could ritual out Voidwalker then Thoughtseize, or Thoughtseize then Hymn to Turok. I think we're going to keep this. I'm actually tempted to get rid of the him here because we're only going to be able to play one double black spell on turn 1. So I think we're going to get rid of the him. And we are going to try to ritual out a Thoughtseize plus a Voidwalker. I hope that our opponent doesn't have any kind of counter magic or anything. A Wasteland, okay. Into an Aether Vial. Okay, so it's some kind of creature deck. This could be Death and Taxes, this could be Goblins. Our Wasteland is also kind of whatever at this point. That's not to say they don't have counter magic. There are some like blue-white Death and Taxes decks running around here. But we're going to see what happens here. They also could have like Solitude for our Voidwalker when we throw the Thoughtseize on the stack. Alright. Voidwalker resolved. Now we are Thoughtseizing. See what our opponent's got going on over there. If they want to pitch cast a Solitude to kill this before we can get something under the Void, I'm kind of okay with that, because this will essentially be him to Turok. Ew! Okay. It is going to be Merfolk. They do have a Force of Will. It's interesting they decided not to force here. I don't really care about Harbinger. Lord of Atlantis is whatever. Floodpit Drowner is probably the biggest problem we have here. So we could also just take the other Aether Vial. They have no blue mana. So yeah, I think we're actually going to take the Aether Vial here. And we're going to see if we can out-aggro Merfolk. Because there's going to be some tension between keeping it on 2 and going to 3. Go up to 1 for now. Okay, they can tap down this once it gets up to 2. That's fine. And it looks like they still have a no-lander. So we are going to see if our Stalactite Stalker is worth their Force of Will. It is not. So we are going to get them off of their 1 land. And this is going to grow our Stalker. And then we kind of just got to hope that we can get there from here. They're only going to be playing 1 spell per turn at this point off of their Aether Vial. And they can either Lord of Atlantis or Floodpits Drowner us. And we have a legit clock going on here. Luckily, this Voidwalker is unblockable. We could also steal their Wasteland, steal their Aether Vial. I don't think it super matters at this point. And they're still missing a land, so they're going to tap something down here. Into a Mishra's Bauble. That's fine. We'll see what they want to tap down here. I have a feeling they're probably going to tap down the Voidwalker, but they can't block the Stalactite Stalker either, since it has Menace. So probably tapping down the Voidwalker just to save some damage. They can't block the Stalker. Get him for 2. We'll go ahead and play this. They are probably incentivized not to Harbingers of the Seas us. Okay, they're going to find a land here. It doesn't really help them at all, but that stun counter is mildly annoying. They could double block the Stalactite Stalker. Okay, I like Netherglyph. That's already a 4/5, which is nice. They can double block the Stalactite Stalker if they want. They might be incentivized to pitch this Harbor. Oh, they're getting in and attacking? Oh, it has Vigilance. I didn't even realize that. Okay. So they could be incentivized to flash in the Lord of Atlantis to pump to try to kill the Stalactite Stalker, but I'm actually okay with that. Another Swamp. We're going to get in, because this is going to clear out 2 of their creatures if they decide to flash in the Lord of Atlantis. Not even bothering. Okay. And then we're going to play Netherglyph and see if this is good enough for a Force of Will out of their hand. Apparently not. Okay. Unfortunately, they are at the sweet spot now, where, like, 2 is going to be most of their Lord effects. So hopefully they just don't really have much going on over there at the moment. I would like some more follow-up. Like, some discard spells would be nice. Some more threats to drop would be nice. Like I said, luckily this Harbinger of the Seas isn't really doing anything. I could also play Wasteland, target my own Wasteland to grow Stalactite Stalker, which I might honestly do. Their Floodpit Drowner is also out. They did uptick this to 3, though. That could be, like, Svilin. There's a lot of things that it on 3 can represent. Alright, and we got a Bloodchief's Thirst. So let's try to bait out this Force of Will. Take out their Lord. Okay, this is getting the Force of Will out of hand. Force of Will pitching Harbinger of the Seas. Okay. And then I think we get in. Attack with everything. And then we will see how they want to block here. They are flashing in a 3-drop. Ooh, a True Name Nemesis. Okay. Well, we can race the true name. I'm not super concerned about that, but it is a free block on something. And we can actually get the Nethergoyf back, but it's not going to be very big. So, like, if they want to double block the Stalactite Stalker... Okay, they're going to block it with the true name Nemesis. Okay. Unfortunately, I don't have the mana up to be able to do the thing with this. And then are they going to throw anything in front of the Nethergoyf? Because we are at a point where we are actively able to beat the rate. Okay, they're going to double block here. That's fine. I can kill the Flood Pitch Drowner. And then they take 7, even if they block out. Okay. Okay, this is actually super okay. Because then I assign damage. We're just going to do all the damage on this. Like, it doesn't matter. It's all prevented from that anyways. So we're going to do this. Wipe out their Lord. Wipe out their Flood Pitch Drowner. They take 3. And it actually grows our Nethergoyf, because now we have a creature in the graveyard as well. And I am going to hold on to this Wasteland just for the sake of making our opponent have to think about it. Think we have something. Cavern of Souls. Okay. So they could play 2 creatures here, but then their hand is empty. And then we can Wasteland their Cavern of Souls. Are they going to hold the true name back on defense? No, they're getting in with it. Okay. That is fine. We will untap. We hit a Dark Ritual. That doesn't really matter. Kill this now, so that they can't, like, flash in a Flood Pitch Drowner. And then we'll get in. They have to have something to block this Nethergoyf. Flashing in a Harbinger of the Sea is on blocking duty. Okay, like I said, our Dauthi Voidwalker is still outracing this True Name Nemesis. Because we have 2 more hits with the Dauthi Voidwalker. They need 5 more with the True Name Nemesis. And they're very low on resources here. They've got 2 cards, keeping their Aether Vial on 3. They can keep Violent and stuff to chump block the Nethergoyf. Okay, they're holding back now to try to block the Nethergoyf. We are going to start out with a Thoughtseize, see what they're working with over here, force the action on the Vial. Flood Pitch Drowner and Daze, take the Flood Pitch Drowner, and they scoop it up. Okay, yeah, I was going to say, I'm just going to hold the Nethergoyf back. There's no point in attacking in with it, but they scoop it up anyways. Okay, into the sideboard... I think we want 1 rings. I think we want our sweeper effects. I think we can take out Bowmasters. Their only real card draw is going to be like Silvergill Adept, and they're probably not going to be running that anyways. We probably don't need Nile Spellbomb. These sweepers are going to be pretty good, but they're honestly kind of slow is the problem. That said, we're definitely still bringing them in. Like I said, we want the 1 ring to be able to catch up once we dump our hand out, and it combos with Shouldered. We could bring in like Null Rods and Disruptor Flutes to shut down Aether Vial, but I'm not super sure that's relevant. As far as anything else we could take out here, like we could maybe trim 1 Dark Ritual, but I want to try to like multi-spell on turn 1 if possible. As much as I hate it, it's probably just take out a Mishra's Bauble. Like, yes, it's a card draw and it's a way to trigger Stalactite Stalkers, but it's probably our weakest effect if we're bringing in the 1 rings. There's also something to be said about, like, don't bring in these artifacts, bring in Null Rods. But let's try something like that. Okay, I like this. This is triple spell on turn 1. Goyf, Cecil. Or we can try to play 1 thing, then ritual out a Shouldered. But I like the idea of just trying to flood the board on turn 1. And if they just Force Will us, so be it. I mean, they have Daze, so they could just Daze us. Like, if they went Island into Aether Vial into Daze, that'd be kind of bad. And they're already mulliganing, so hopefully that's to our advantage. Mulligan to 6. We could also test... Okay, so it's a Cavernous Souls. So that does mean it's probably going to be followed up by a Vial, but it means they're not going to be able to Daze us on turn 1. Into an Aether Vial. Okay, that's totally fine. I think we're going to fetch just to make these Goyfs as big as possible. Ooh, and a Bloodchief's Thirst. I like that. We will fetch for a Swamp, cast Dark Ritual, cast a Goyf, cast a Goyf, cast a Cecil, and then we have a Bloodchief's Thirst to try to get rid of whatever their first play is. And we are the beatdown. And we're just hoping we can out-aggro them here. Luckily, being a monocolored deck, we are fairly Flood Moon and Wasteland proof. And we're already looking at attacking with 6 damage on turn 2. However, Cecil is a little iffy since they are an aggro deck. Losing the life associated with it is going to be a bit rough. But we are going to go ahead and get in. And then we are going to play a Stalactite Stalker post-combat. Looks like they're just taking it. That's fine. We're going to lose a little damage. And then we're going to play a Stalactite Stalker. And then we'll ship the turn. And then this Blood Chief's Thirst will grow the Netherglyphs. I mean, our next attack is for half of their life total. Yeah, Wasteland is pointless here, so they're relying well, they do have blue mana off of Cavernous Souls. I was about to say they're relying wholly on this Aether Vial, but they actually do have some colored mana here. Started tapping mana and then untapped. I think this means they have a Flood Pitch Rounder, and they were thinking about casting it, but they're going to wait until our turn. Filigree Silex. Unfortunately, Filigree Silex on 1 wipes out our entire board, but let's get in an attack. We could bump it up to 2 to try to wipe their board when the time comes, but we're going to see what they do. Okay, they're vialing something in. What are they vialing in here? Phantasmal Image. Okay, what are they going to copy? Are they going to copy Cecil? Yes, they are copying Cecil. What are they going to block? I'm assuming they block a Netherglyph. They could block our Cecil, but... Okay, no, they are going to block a Goyf. These are going to die. Or no, it's a 2-3, so it's actually not going to die. But we are going to still hit them for quite a bit of damage here. I think that trigger, yeah, that hits themselves too. And we're going to hit ourselves with Cecil. And then we are going to attempt to Blood Chief's Thirst Cecil, which causes them to sacrifice it anyways because of the fact that it's actually Phantasmal Image. And they are staring down lethal on board. Our Stalactite Stalker grows. Our Netherglyph grew quite a bit as well. Like, don't get me wrong, they can definitely still stabilize from here. That is very possible. Keeping the Vial on 2, okay. We also are almost to the point where we can get this Netherglyph back. We literally just need... Well, no, it's his 4th card type, so never mind. And our opponent gave us the GG. Does that mean that they're scooping? I think they scooped. And they did scoop, okay! Managed to out-aggro Fish. I like it. On to the next one. Alright, round 2. Lost the die roll again, but this is a very good hand. Stalker on 1, grow it into a Goyf. Or into a Dauthi Voidwalker, depending on what our opponent's doing. So we'll keep this. Oh, Hickory Woodlot. Okay, so... They're on some cheeky shit over there. There's something we said about possibly... We should just wasteland that, but if they're on Mississippi River, it should take them a turn or 2 to set up. So I think we're going to go ahead and try... getting the Stalactite Stalker down first, and then we'll wasteland next turn. And if they are Mississippi River, I want to go after their Redlands. Ancient Tomb, okay. So I think what we are going to do is we're going to go ahead and wasteland the Hickory Woodlot, blow up the Woodlot, play a Netherglyph, and then get in. Hopefully we can go aggro enough that none of this matters. But I'm very scared that this is just Mississippi River based off of what I'm seeing here. And we're not going to be able to get it done quick enough. We don't have a ton of interaction outside of discard, and we don't have any discard at the moment. Playing a Beseju, okay. More Wastelands would be nice. Discard would be nice. Another Dauthi Voidwalker, okay. I mean, we're just going to go in. We attack with everything. I mean, luckily, we're growing the Stalactite Stalker every turn. Fetch with the Marsh Flats. Grab another Swamp. Play a Dauthi Voidwalker. This does mean, at least if they have a Throes of Chaos, it gets thrown under this and they can't retrace it if the chain fizzles. But I'm very worried about them just popping off here. Yeah, there's the Taiga, so this is Throes of Chaos mana. Yep, there's Throes. I mean, we're gonna see what happens. Tybalt's Trickery. Okay, I mean, we just gotta let them do their thing and hope that their chain fizzles. It's very much a possibility that it could. Like, I have played this deck before, and there is a legitimate fizzle rate. If they hit another Tybalt's Trickery... into a Violent Outburst, that's going to be another Tybalt's Trickery. Like, this is where the chain can end up fizzling. Revealed damn near their whole deck on that one. Another Tybalt's Trickery. Into another Tybalt's Trickery? Into an Apex Devastator. Okay, we're probably dead now. We'll see. Atali, yeah. Like, we're probably just dead here. I also don't think we really have any sideboard tech against this deck. Into a Creative Technique. Into a Thoughtseize. Yeah, go ahead and Thoughtseize us. That's fine. Are they going to demonstrate is the question. No, they are... Well, the demonstrate trigger's on the stack. I guess they could still demonstrate. We hit a Dark Ritual. That doesn't do anything. So they did demonstrate. Hit another Throes of Chaos. Okay. So, I mean, they're running out of Tybalt's Trickeries. This will be Tybalt's Trickery number 3. Which, if I remember right, most of these decks only play 3 of them, which unfortunately this means that it's probably not going to fizzle unless they hit another low-end Cascader. Oh, they just straight up ran out. They don't have any more. Okay. So yeah, I'm not super sure what to bring in up against this deck other than maybe bring in some One Rings so that if they combo off, like they're gonna get to do their thing. There's a really weird world where they end up just whiffing on these cascades, and all they have is an Apex Devastator and whatchamacallit, but the chances of them fizzling out with three more cascades is pretty slim. They hit a creative tech. Oh, nope. They hit another violent outburst. I mean, so they are hitting a certain amount of fizzle rate of this deck. There's still a few more violent outbursts and a few more throws of chaoses that they could hit off of these cascade triggers. But again, the likelihood of it is real slim. So we'll see. I mean, we're basically just dead even if they manage to get all of this down. Like, we don't have the mana to be able to kick a Bloodchief's Thirst. I mean, yeah, we'll cast the Nethergoyf. Like, might as well. Like, if we hit a Dark Ritual and can kill something here. Okay, there's the Emrakul. We lost. Alright. Yeah, this is definitely not a deck that the sideboard is particularly attuned to. We could bring in the Disruptor Flutes to make stuff cost more. And we can bring in the One Rings. Orcish Bowmaster seems entirely irrelevant in this matchup. Bloodchief's Thirst seem pretty bad too, but there's a world where we actually could do something with them. Oppo Agent doesn't do anything. Null Rod doesn't do anything. We're never going to get high enough on these Filigree Silex or Powder Kegs. Probably trim out two Bloodchief's Thirsts. There's something we said about maybe just bringing in the Oppo Agents just to have more bodies, but I think we just need to try to hit discard hard and hope that we just strip them of their resources. So let's try that. Alright, give me some good discard deck. Thoughtseize, Nethergoyf, Barrogoyf. I think we'll keep this. We will play a Stalactite Stalker turn 1, then Thoughtseize and Nethergoyf turn 2, then follow it up with a Barrogoyf and hope for the best. Like, don't get me wrong, this is still not good. Grow the Stalactite Stalker, ship the turn. We can't do anything. We will have 6. I mean, luckily this deck cannot go off turn 1. Into a Sandstone Needle. Him to Turok. Okay, I don't hate that. We're still going to Thoughtseize. Creative Technique, Creative Technique. There's a Tybalt's Trickery in hand already. Call forth the Tempest. We will take a Creative Technique, and then we'll play a Nethergoyf, and the next turn we are going to Him to Turok, and hope that we hit something relevant. Like, hopefully we hit that other Creative Technique. They could also Tybalt's Trickery our Him to Turok. There's the Dwarven Ruins, okay. We hit a Verdant Catacombs, so we will play and crack this. Since we're just going to play a 2-mana spell this turn anyways, we will Undercity Mortuary to set up our next turn. Into a Wasteland, I actually like that. And we will Him our opponent. They could Tybalt's Trickery this if they want to. And it looks like they are. And this is going to screw up our... Okay, we hit a Mishra's Bauble. We lost our Wasteland. What is your draw? There's something we said about hanging on to that, but okay, it's another land. Attack with everything. It does grow our Goyf, so there is something to be said about it was correct to do that. That said, okay, we hit a Thoughtseize. I like that. Hopefully they didn't find an untapped land. No, they did not. Okay. So we can Thoughtseize the other Creative Technique out of their hand and play Barrogoyf. We're going to start out with Thoughtseize. We are going to take the other Creative Technique. We are going to play a Bloodstained Mire. We are going to get into attack. They are almost to call forth the Tempest mana. Like, if they hit a untapped soul land, they actually can cast that. And we'll fetch, grow the Stalactite Stalker, and slam a Barrogoyf and hope that they don't hit an untapped soul land or a Creative Technique, basically. Like, there's nothing we can do here, so we'll F6 through the turn and just see what the top of their deck is. Alright, we got there. The top of their deck did not help them at all. Okay, cool. Gotta do that again on the draw. I think it's basically just mulligan for tons of discard. And I don't think there's anything we want to change. We'll just run it back. Okay, realized during sideboarding that I had forgotten to update the records. I got that updated. Okay, so it's a one-lander with a redraw, but I like the Disruptor Flute and the Him to Turok. We're just banking on getting mana? Do we think that's good enough is the question. Because we have the redraw and we're on the draw, I think we're going to keep this and just risk it. If we hit a Dark Ritual, it's insane. Wastelands would be nice too. The One Ring, okay. There is a possibility they're just going to go off next turn, but it's a risk we have to take. And we were just hoping between them hopefully not being able to go off next turn. That's a Beseju. That's untapped green. That could let them go off with a Violent Outburst next turn. Another Goyf. We need to hit a mana here. Ancient Tomb. Alright, and they just got Throes of Chaos. I guess we're just going to let this do its thing. Hit a Violent Outburst. Okay. Into a Tibalt's Trickery. We just gotta hope they fizzle. Like, unfortunately, like, we probably could have... And there's an Evercool. Okay, they got us. Good game, opponent. Good game. Yeah, I mean, it happens. This deck is not prepared for something like this by any means. So, alright, on to the next one. Alright, had to take a break yesterday and stop recording early, so I'm back today to finish the league. Won the die roll. Let's go. I like this. We can Nether Goyf on 1, turn 2 Stalker Mishra's Bauble. I like this. We can keep this. Alright, play the Marsh Flats. Opponent kept on 7. Grab a Swamp and play another Goyf. Ship the turn. Polluted Delta from the opponent. Okay. And a pass. Okay. I would not hate another Swamp just to try to slam this Daughty Voidwalker. We could also start out with a Thoughtseize and see what the hell is going on over there. But regardless, we will play out the Wasteland. I think we are going to go ahead and Thoughtseize. This grows the Nether Goyf the same way that Mishra's Bauble would. And playing out the Wasteland allows us to play around a daze. Alright, opponent cracks their Delta. Grabs a Swamp. Okay. And Fatal pushes another Goyf. Okay. I guess we'll see what they got going on over there. Okay, so they are Beanstalk control. So I think the Beanstalk is the only thing we care about. We could try to mana screw them by taking this Lorien revealed. But I don't think that's hyper relevant at the moment. Yeah, I think we're just going to take the Beanstalk. And we're going to run out the Mishra's Bauble just to get it out of our hand here. So up against Sultai Beans by the look of it. They can cycle for this Lorien. They play the Wasteland, which is fine. Like, they can Wasteland our Wasteland. I'm not super concerned about that. They're still so far away from most things that they could be doing here. We draw another Daughty Voidwalker. We will play Stalactite Stalker. There's a world where they could have drawn a Bowmaster here, and this is going to be a massive blowout if they did. But we are going to go ahead and Mishra's Bauble so that we grow the Stalker. They're getting a fetch land. Okay. And then we will ship the turn. I think in our upkeep, we might go after this Wasteland just to keep them off of 3 mana. Cycling Lorien revealed, so they're getting rid of the Polluted Delta. Okay. We'll see what they grab here. If they... Okay, they did not grab a basic. They could Wasteland our Wasteland to stop us from Wastelanding the Tropical Island, but we will see. Okay, Dark Ritual I like, because it allows us to play Daughty Voidwalker. I'm going to let them play their land, and then I'm going to Wasteland it. Okay, or they're just going to Wasteland me now. That's also fine. And they drew another land as well, so they're going to be able to get to 3 mana. However, we can actually run out 2 Voidwalkers here. We will grab another Swamp, cast a Dark Ritual. This, I was about to say, that would be a hell of a blowout if they Force of Willed that. But this is also going to shut down the backside of Uro, because they'll be able to cast the front side, but then it's just going to go into the Void. Alright, first Voidwalker resolves, second Voidwalker resolves, and then we will get in with our Stalker, it will grow, and then we will ship the turn. So they're staring down a 2-turn clock here. They are fetching with their Misty, probably going to grab like a Hedge Maze or something. Yep, grabbed a Hedge Maze, that's fine. If they surveil something away, it goes, okay, surveilled away a Ponder, shove that into the Void. There's their Trop. Like I said, they can frontside an Uro. It looks like they're going to Rakshas's Bargain. Yes. Luckily, all of our creatures are well out of Witherbloom command range. They could just Witherbloom to go grab a land. It looks like 2 Underground Seas in the bin. Okay. And now we have a Nile Spellbomb. I do not hate that at all. We're going to get in, hit him for 9, play a Spellbomb, and I'm just going to crack this main phase so that they can't use their graveyard for anything. We draw a card, and we grow our Stalker. We grab another Stalker off of that. Okay. So they're staring down a problem here. They can gain 3 life off of this Uro, but that puts them to 10 and they're still dead on board. And the Uro disappears forever. Polluted Delta from the opponent. Okay. So they could have some blockers to try to stabilize, or they just scoop it up, and I'm fine with that as well. Against our opponent, I think Oppo Agent wouldn't be terrible. They have a lot of fetches and shuffle effects. The One Ring wouldn't be terrible either if we want to bring those in. Or Disruptor Flutes as well are a possibility here. I guess I'm kind of iffy on the Oppo Agents. They have so much card advantage. I think we want the One Ring in here. I do think we want that. Bloodchief's Thirst seems a little iffy. Like, they're going to have Bowmasters, but everything else they have is going to be much bigger than what Bloodchief's Thirst will normally be able to hit. Seeing as they have Bowmasters, I think we're going to get rid of our Mishra's Baubles and rely on the One Ring instead, because at least it can fog while we try to catch up. Like I said, I'm still iffy on these Oppo Agents. The Bloodchief's Thirst, like I said, are a maybe. A lot of their stuff is going to be bigger, because it's going to be stuff like Murktide Regents and stuff like that. We could also bring a Powder Keg to blow up, like, Resolved Beans and stuff. Maybe we do bring in the Oppo Agents, get rid of the Bloodchief's Thirsts. Yeah, maybe we just get rid of the Bloodchief's Thirst entirely, bring in 3 Oppo Agents, bring 1 Mishra's Bauble back in, and then we can try that. Okay, I like this. We can Stalker on 1, Turok or Bowmaster on 2. Misty from the opponent. Hit a Marsh Flats. We will play Marsh Flats. Grab a Swamp. Play our Stalker. I know I said this before with Stalactite Stalker. Like, I know that orange bit on its face is its mouth, but it just looks like a freaking, like, cop mustache. Opponent correct their Misty. Grabbed a Hedge Maze. Okay. And kept whatever it was on top. Oh, and they're gonna Daze the Stalker. Okay. That at least means that we're not staring down a Beans next turn. I would not hate, like, a Dark Ritual to be able to him to Turok and Bowmasters in the same turn. They are going to Hedge Maze. Bidding a bargain. Okay. So now we need to decide if we want to just hold up Bowmaster. I actually think we're going to go ahead and Thoughtseize, follow it up with a Nethergoyf. Since we drew that Thoughtseize, that seems like the correct option here. See what's going on over there. Try to mess with their hand. They have a Bowmasters of their own. Brainstorm, Force of Will, Rakshasa's Bargain. I don't super care about Bowmasters, but it can clog up the board for a little bit, and it can Bowmasters our Bowmaster, so I think we're going to take the Bowmaster and see if they are willing to Force of Will this Goyf, and it looks like no. They are 2 turns away from a Rakshasa's Bargain. They could just Brainstorm here, which looks like they are to move around the information that we have. It just comes down to, do we want a Bowmaster or do we want to try to hymn them? Follow it up with the Underground Sea. Okay, well, I guess this is going to determine whatever they don't take, we're going to cast next turn. So they took the Hymn to Turok, so we're just going to slam the Bowmasters. Unless we get something better to do. Another Nethergoyf. So no, we are not going to do anything different. We're just going to get in, hit for 3, play another Nethergoyf, and then while we kind of know what's going on over there, we're just going to Sorcery Speed this Bowmaster, force them to Force of Will it if that's what they have. Okay, and this is a Force of Will, pitching a Force of Will. Okay, so we got 2 forces out of their hand. However, we don't really have anything going on at the moment. Our opponent does have a Bargain, so they're going to be able to refuel a little bit here. But we do have 2, 3, 4 Goyfs. And they're just Sorcery Speeding a Bargain. Okay. And they ship the turn. Okay. Well, we got a 2-turn clock if they fetch. Otherwise, we got a 3-turn clock. We have another Stalactite Stalker. So, I mean, we're just going to keep aggroing and hope that they don't find a way to stabilize. Hit him to 7. Play Stalker. Fetch and go grab our Surveil land to grow our Stalker. Set up our next draw. We do not want a Dark Ritual. That grows our Stalkers, or our Nethergoyfs. Grow our Stalker. Alright. Well, let's see what they can do here with their 4 cards. They can gain a little bit of life with a Uro, but they can't get it back. They could drop a relatively large Murktide Regent, but Stalker has Menace. So at the very least, we're looking at 6 going through. Unless they can get some stuff out of their graveyard that we don't have, but I don't think they do, because we have Sorcery Instant Land Creature in our own graveyard, so we've already got 4 types. So our opponent cannot shrink our Goyfs. Also, I forgot that these only count our graveyard anyways. They shuffled their library into a brainstorm. Okay. And they scoop it up, taking down Sultai Beans. Okay, on to the next one. Alright, round 4, won the die roll up against Grindstone Cowboy, who I believe is a painter player. So we can start off with turn 1 Thoughtseize, turn 2 Underground Mortuary Thoughtseize. We have some removal for their creatures. If they are on painter, I feel like this is a pretty good hand. I like a threat, but we can also ritual out a threat with this Dark Ritual. Alright, opponent kept on 7 as well. We will play a swamp, and we will Thoughtseize our opponent. See what we're going on over there. Oh! It is Nadu. Okay. That's interesting then. I mean, I think we just take the Nomads, or do we take the Brainstorm and try to mana screw them? I think we just take the Nomads. So they are on breakfast combo. We could have taken the Nadu, but I think our plan is to Thoughtseize the Nadu next turn. They kept a 1-lander with a Brainstorm, so we're going to see if they start out with that Brainstorm. Okay, they drew a land, so that doesn't seem as relevant now. Let's see what we draw. We draw a Dothy Voidwalker. Well, we know they have days. There's just so much that we would like to do here if possible. So I think what we're going to do is kind of just force the action here. Go for the Dark Ritual, Thoughtseize, take Nadu, unless they brainstorm it away. Normally I'd lead off on the Dothy Voidwalker so that we can take whatever it is under this, but I feel like... Alright, so... There's also something to be said about just taking the Source of Plowshares because we know it's going to hit our Dothy Voidwalker anyways, but then it gets it out of their hand. And I think I'd rather just get Nadu out of the way. We'll play Dothy Voidwalker. And now, if they want to Swords our Dothy Voidwalker, that's mostly fine. It gets the sword out of their hand. Cracking their Misty. Are they going to play on basics is the question. Yes, they are. Into Brainstorm. So what they're going to want to do is they're going to want to go fetch a basic Plains and Swords our Voidwalker now, so that we can't just sack it and Brainstorm in response. But we'll see if they do that or not. Like, knowing that they have this Force of Will Daze means that our Bloodchief's Thirst is probably going to get countered unless we hit some more discard. I mean, we still got 2 more Thoughtseizes and a bunch of Hymn to Torox. Alright, Brainstorm resolved. They play a Windswept Heath. Unfortunately, because of the fact that they have the Source of Plowshares, I don't think we actually want to attack in with the Voidwalker, which is a little awkward. We'll play Underground Mortuary, set up our next draw. Another Thoughtseize. I like that. We'll put that on top. Pass the turn. They are in a position where they theoretically could just combo off, but they'd have to get rid of the Voidwalker first. Flooded Strand into a Tamiyo. Okay. Well, we have an answer for that. Because we can go ahead and Thoughtseize the Force of Will and then hit the Tamiyo. So we're going to start out with a Thoughtseize again. Double Swords, Force of Will, Daze. So, I mean, we take the Force of Will, play a Verdant, crack the Verdant, play a Swamp, kill the Tamiyo, and then they've just got a bunch of interactive stuff in hand. And we're just not going to attack with the Voidwalker. Like, it's awkward that we can't really attack with this thing at the moment, but we theoretically can go ahead and just Brainstorm, which we might honestly do. Got a Plains. They might be forcing the action on the Bowmaster, or the Dothy Voidwalker. Not yet. I think we're probably... Like, we could Brainstorm here if we want to, but then that leaves them with 2 swords still in their hand. We hit a Marsh Flats. We're just going to pass a turn. I think we're going to go ahead and crack the Voidwalker next turn. They're also doing pretty good about playing around our, whatchamacallit here, Wasteland. So I think we are going to go ahead and crack the Voidwalker now and just Brainstorm. We are going to Brainstorm. Another Voidwalker and a Cecil. Put back Wasteland, put back Marsh Flats. I think we're just going to have to try to suss these swords out here. Play out Voidwalker. And this is probably enough to get both of the swords out of their hand. And then we will play the Marsh Flats because we want to shuffle away that other land so that we're actually drawing live. This might be enough to get the 2 swords out of their hand. And looks like we got 1 out for sure. Are they going to swords the other one is the question. Not yet, no. Okay. Like, we are shields down. Okay. Both of the swords are out of their hand. They have a Daze, 2 unknowns, Cracking Flooded Strand. Do they just have the combo into a tropical island, into a savannah, and they have a Nadu. Okay, so they have a Daze and an unknown in hand. We will crack our Marsh Flats, grab a swamp because we want to shuffle. There's no point in wastelanding yet because we might draw. Ew. Okay, well, we're just going to try to keep them off of mana then and just hope that they don't have the other half of the combo off the top of their deck until we can find a way to deal with this Nadu. There's nothing we can do, so we can have 6 through the turn. Getting it with Nadu, okay. And passing the turn. Bloodchief's Thirst. They have a Daze, so we need to wait until we have 1 more mana. So this is why I wasn't going to crack those Wastelands originally, was so that we could play around that Daze with a Bloodchief's Thirst. But we're just going to have to see here. We still have a lot of mana in the deck. Into a Brainstorm, so they might be shuffling this Daze away now. Found a land. Cracking the land. So the Daze may or may not still be there. Tundra. Okay, into a Shuko. That's not instant speed. Into another Flooded Strand. Okay. And that's the Nomads. We will scoop it up to that. I'm not going to sit here and go through this. I still stand by that the play patterns of Nadu dictate that it should get banned, but I'm also not going to say that it's the most pressing issue at the moment. I think we want Disruptor Flutes in Powder K. Do I want Powder Keg and Filigree Familiar? I don't know. I think we are going to bring in the One Rings, though. As far as stuff to take out, I think we can get rid of the Mishra's Baubles. I want to keep all my removal in. Shouldered isn't bad. Like, they have a bunch of cantrips, but they also have a bunch of stuff that doesn't actually draw cards. I think we might take the one-ofs out here, despite the fact they're kind of what this deck is about at the moment. And then we maybe take out 1 Dark Ritual? Yeah, let's try something like that. Alright, let's see if we can crawl back into this one. Yeah, I like this. We can go ahead and keep this. We will turn 1 Bloodstained Mire into Stalker, turn 2 Voidwalker, unless we need to Bloodchiefs or something. Or we could turn 2 Nile Spellbomb, hold it up, then turn 3, depending on what we have, we do stuff. I don't know, there's a lot of options with this hand, but it's nice and aggro, it's got a good mix of lands and spells and stuff to do. Crack the Bloodstained Mire, grab a Swamp, play a Stalker, pass the turn, let the Stalker grow. We're also guaranteed to grow the Stalker for at least 2 turns. Misty Rainforest from the opponent. Cracks it. Into a Tundra. Into a Source of Plowshares. Okay. Ship the turn. Into a Shieldred. I think we're just going to play Verdant Catacombs and pass. If they don't do anything, we will go grab our Surveil land. If they do something, we will flash in the Bowmaster and hope that they don't have a Daze. Well, here's hoping they don't have a Daze. Grab a Swamp. Flash in Bowmasters. Like, they have so much free counter mana. Okay, they did have the Daze, but at least it sets them back a land for a turn. A little unfortunate, but something we kind of knew was going to happen. Like, they have 4 Dazes and 4 Force of Wills, and I wouldn't be surprised if they brought in Force of Negations for this matchup as well. But maybe not. Okay, a different land down. And, okay, another land. I like that. I think we're just going to play Dauthi Voidwalker. Try to shut down the Cephalid Illusionist side of the combo. And now we will plan on grabbing a Surveil land. Unless they've got another Source of Plowshares to deal with this thing. Meticulous Archive, okay. Kept whatever it was on top, okay. Urza's Saga, okay. And an Agatha's Soul Cauldron, okay, that is definitely interesting, okay. We will go grab our Surveil land. Another Swamp? I think we will keep that. Do we think they have another Daze is the question. I don't think we're going to play around it. I think we're just going to go ahead and slam Shouldered. Like, if they have a Daze, they have a Daze, but it stops them from being able to make Construct tokens. And if they have a Force of Will, it gets 2 cards out of their hand. Force of Will pitching Force of Negation. Okay. And, like, they can eat some stuff out of our graveyard, but I'm not particularly worried about that. Like, none of our creatures have activated abilities that we care about. They can start making some construct tokens, but I think we're winning the race at the moment, and we have Blood Chief's Thirst to be able to kill one of them. Or we just have the One Ring. I guess we're going to see if they have another counterspell. They did just get rid of 2. It's not like we're doing anything else this turn anyway, so... See if you've got another counterspell. They do not. Okay. I like that. Disruptor flew a little late to the party, but I can still name Shuko at least. And they're going to eat that to put the counter on the construct. Like I said, we have a removal spell for a construct. I'm not super concerned about those right now. And if they just spend their whole turn making constructs, like, we are winning that race. And we're going to start being able to out-card advantage them as well. Okay, Pithing Needle on the One Ring is a little annoying. Okay. But that could have been worse. I could also crack our Voidwalker to be able to go get another token or something. Or get our own Urza Saga going. Into a Nethergoyf. Okay. I do not hate that. Let's go ahead and attack. Get in. They can't block it anyways. Second main phase, we will kill the bigger construct. And they can kind of keep our Nethergoyf in check a little bit. But I'm not super concerned about it at the moment. Yeah, they can eat our Bowmaster. That's fine. Again, we don't have any actual, like, whatchamacallits here, activated abilities. Opponent cracks their Flooded Strand, goes and grabs a Hedge Maze. Puts another Force of Will in the bin for us. Like, I'm okay with taking a hit for 4 here. They can't grow the construct anymore. And if they put in a Shuko or a Nomads, we can flash in the Disruptor Flute to name the correct one. They might just hold this construct back. And they are. Okay. Another Nethergoyf. Okay, well, we'll get in. Hit him to 4. Play another Nethergoyf. And play a Nile Spellbomb. Worst case scenario, we can crack the Spellbomb to be able to draw a card. Alright, they're just shrinking our Goyfs. Like, that's totally fine. At this point, I'll take a hit for 4 to be able to swing back and kill them. We're still just holding up Disruptor Flute. There's another Urza Saga. That's fine. And a Nomad's Encore. We are going to flash this in. They would need Nadu and Daze to stop this. And we will name Nomad's Encore so that they can't actually activate it. And they've got 2 blockers. So, in theory, if we swing out, they're dead. And another, the One Ring. I think we're at the point where we are going to swing out here. They've only got 2 blockers. This is technically lethal. And it kills a Nomads. Okay, we kill the Nomad, lose 1 of our Nethergoyfs. And then we will Fog for a turn. Keep the new one with no counters so we don't lose any more life. And ship the turn. And hope that they can't find a way to deal with our Voidwalker. Eating the Nethergoyf to grow the construct, that's fine. We basically just need them to not have a way to deal with our Dauthi Voidwalker. And I don't know what they drew. Alright, and we got game number 2. Let's do this in game number 3. Since we saw all of that stuff, is there anything that we want to change? Like, there's something to be said about bringing these in, if they're going to be having, like, Pithing Needles and shit like that. But the only thing Pithing Needle shuts down is Wasteland and the One Ring. And I don't really know what we would want to take out to compensate. Like, we could just take the One Rings out, but I like the Fog potential. I think we're just going to run it back. Turn 1 Thoughtseize, turn 2 Bowmasters, turn 3 Barrowgoyf. Looks good to me. There always is a possibility they just have the turn 2 with a Daze protection, but we'll see. Alright, Flooded Strand from the opponent. They're not turn 1ing a Nomads yet. Another Swamp. Okay, let's see what you're working with over there, opponent. Nadu Force Swords. I think we take the Nadu and just work our way through all this other shit. Or we can take the Force of Will. But I don't want them getting this Nadu down and we don't have a way to deal with it. Yeah, we're just going to take the Nadu and then we're just going to have to work through what they have. They only have 1 removal spell, so there's the Tundra. Alright, let's see. What do we draw? We draw Dark Ritual. That doesn't actually help us at the moment. That does allow us to Bowmaster and Barrowgoyf next turn, so we'll play the Verdant Catacomb. If they try to fire off a cantrip, we will Bowmasters. Otherwise, we'll probably go get a Surveil land. Cavern of Souls, still 1 unknown in hand. I think we are just going to go ahead and grab a Surveil land, set up our next draw here. Grab our Surveil. I do not want another land. We have plenty. Stalactite Stalker. Okay. This might flush out the Swords to Plowshares. We can go ahead and fetch. Grab a Swamp. Just so we grow the Stalker. That's the turn. We're also almost to the point where we can activate our Stalker to be able to kill something also to get around these forces. Opponent did not go for a Force of Will, or whatchamacallit. Shit, I was supposed to fucking flash in there. I accidentally clicked through that. I was supposed to flash in my Bowmasters there, it's fine. If they go for another one, then we'll do it. Because that would flush out the Force of Will and the Force of Negation. Either that or it would flush out the Swords to Plowshares. That was a punt on my part, for sure, but whatever. They might be shuffling away some stuff, so this might end up working out for us. Another land. 2 of these on Wizard. This looks like they found another Nadu. No. Brainstorm. Okay. Well, now we are going to flash this in, see if we can get Force of Will plus something else out of their hand and put them down to 1 card. No. Okay. So apparently we actually inadvertently did the correct thing here. I'm also not sure why they floated Wizard mana. Do they have any 2-mana Wizards? I think Plagon's 3 mana. And opponent scoops it up. Okay, positive record is locked going into the final round. On to the next one. Alright, final round. Lost the die roll. Up against Larth Persinus? Persinus? Something like that? Sidecat Cub Avatar, so we'll see if that's what they're actually doing here. I don't like that we have a tap land on 1, but we've got so many redraws and so much good stuff here. I think we're going to keep this. Windswept Teeth from the opponent. Into a Bayou. Into a Once Upon a Time. So yes, this does look like it's probably some kind of Sidecat Cub deck. Into a Keen-Eyed Curator. Okay. Noble Hierarch. Okay. So Keen-Eyed Curator, we have good ways to kill it. Okay. I like that we hit an untapped land. We could kill this Noble Hierarch, or we can save it for a bigger payoff, which I think is what we're going to do here. And we are going to play Nethergoyf, run out a Mishra's Bauble. We'll run out the other one too, screw it. And then, because of the fact that they showed us black, we're going to wait to do this until their upkeep. Because there is a possibility they have discard. White of the Reliquary. Okay. I think that's a bigger problem right now than Keen-Eyed Curator is. But we'll see what they play. If they just play white, we'll go ahead and kill it with Bloodchief's Thirst. Or they're going to Thoughtseize us. Okay. They probably take the Bloodchief's Thirst. They might take the Barrogoyf if they're more scared of that. Either way, whatever they take ends up growing our Goyf. But this Keen-Eyed Curator can keep it in check. Okay, took the Barrogoyf. Interesting choice. Okay, Collector Oof. That doesn't actually really do much against us. That Sylvan Safekeeper is annoying, though. So we're going to have to probably kill something on board this turn. We draw another Mishra's Bauble and a Swamp. And we draw a Wasteland for turn. So we could start cutting them off of mana, which probably isn't the worst thing in the world. Well, let's start out with a Bloodchief's Thirst. We could kill the Collector so that we can draw, but I think I want to cut them off of mana. And then this does make our Nethergoyf for 4/5. Alright, hit them for 4, that's fine. Hopefully we kind of mana screwed them there, because we know they're drawing this Collector Oof. And we know 3 of the cards in their hand. Okay, Gaia's Cradle's annoying. Into a Keen-Eyed Curator. That is going to eventually shrink our Goyf, unfortunately. So we need another removal spell. Thoughtseize. Okay. We'll start out with Thoughtseize. See what we can get rid of here. I think we want to get rid of the white. We'll leave the Sylvan Safekeeper for now. Set up our next draw. A Stalactite Stalker. Does that really do anything? Actually, I just realized they don't have black mana. They couldn't play that anyways. I think we're going to bin that. And then we will go ahead and get in. I just realized we should have taken the, whatchamacallit, Sylvan Safekeeper. They can't even cast the white anyways. We'll see if they want to block with this Keen-Eyed Curator. The smart thing is not to. Like, the weird thing is, like, Collector Oof isn't even that good against our deck. It just happens to be that we have a bunch of Mishra's Baubles. They seem to be debating if they want to block or not. Alright, just taking the hit. That's fine. Okay, there's the Safekeeper. They have 3 mana. They can start eating stuff with the Keen-Eyed Curator to shrink our Goyf. Alright, get in with both of them. That's fine. And they're waiting to activate the Keen-Eyed Curator. Okay. Nile Spellbomb doesn't actually do anything because of the Keen-Eyed Curator. I think we're pretty well done here. We kind of just bottomed out. We'll see if they want to start shrinking it yet. They can eat 3 this turn, eat 3 next turn, and then our Goyf is useless. I'd love if they blocked with a Sylvan Safekeeper, so that my removal would be live. Nope, they're just going to take it. They didn't even bother eating anything out of the graveyard. That is... I mean, it's a choice. Like, I feel like the correct thing should have been to do this before damage, so they take less damage, but whatever. Yep, now they're eating stuff. Yep, shrinking the Goyf. And they will definitely be able to turn on this Keen-Eyed Curator next turn. Swack for 9, 10. If they have 1 more point of damage somehow, I'm just dead. Drew a land. Fetching. Into a Bayou. Okay. Into a new white of the Reliquary. Okay. Well, I got 1 draw to try to get out of this, but I don't think there's anything that I can do that will get us out of this. And this white is a 4/4. Getting in for 3. Are they going to activate it to just clear my graveyard out? Yes. So we'll take 7. Yeah, they're just clearing out my graveyard so that my Nethergoyf is a 0/1. Yeah, unfortunately this deck has a bunch of random little silver bullets like this that make it so that my deck just doesn't really function. And we drew a land. That doesn't do anything. Okay. That was close, but they drew their silver bullets that they needed. That just basically shut this deck down. That being said, Opposition Agent in for sure. I think we're going to bring in Disruptor Flutes, and we're basically just going to remove all of our artifacts. And then I think we're going to get rid of 2 Orcish Bowmasters. They can ping their X ones, but they don't actually have a ton of those, and one of them is Sylvan Safekeeper anyways, and they don't draw cards. So Opposition Agent, because they do a ton of searching their deck, and then Disruptor Flute to try to shut down their activated abilities and stuff, and just take out any artifact that remotely can be shut down by Collector Roof. And let's try that. Got a bunch of removal into a bunch of good stuff, but the first couple turns are going to be slow, but we're going to keep it. We're relatively Thoughtseize proof, so we will play Marshflies and pass. I'd love a Dark Ritual or something like that. Lair of the Hydra into an Ignoble Hierarch. I don't think mana is where we're going to tax them. Or maybe it is. Because, like, we can fetch here. We should have gotten a Surveil land, but I accidentally clicked through. But I don't think it's realistically going to matter much. Because we're just going to reset the game here. Just reset the game. The next turn, we can Bloodchief's Thirst if they have another Mana Dork. And it looks like they do. No, Green Sun Zenith. So, I mean, that is a Mana Dork. So, we're going to go ahead and kill that with Bloodchief's Thirst. I don't like using my removal on Mana Dorks, but we're trying to keep them off of being able to do anything relevant here. Hymn to Turok. We could just hymn them, but I don't think that's worth it. I think we're going to keep doing this. Try to keep them off of mana. We actually will go ahead and grab our Surveil land now. Sylvan Safekeeper. Okay, so it's good that we got all of our stuff out while we could. They have an Underground Mortuary. Depending on what we draw, we might just hymn them. They kept something on top that they like. And we will go ahead and hymn here. Or grab our own Underground Mortuary. Set up our draw. Dark Ritual actually lets me do everything I want to do, so we're going to keep that on top. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start out with a Swamp. Hymn you. Hopefully we get rid of some relevant stuff. Keen-Eye Curator and Gaia's Cradle. Then we are going to go ahead and Dark Ritual out our Barrowwife. And hope that the 2 cards plus whatever they kept on top is irrelevant. But I like that we hit the Keen-Eye Curator. There's normally only one of those. And we got rid of a Gaia's Cradle, which is nice. Okay, they had another Keen-Eyed Curator. Alright. If they don't block, though, we're going to be able to keep our graveyard pretty well full here. So I think we're just going to go ahead and swing in and see what they do. They might... Oh, they're not even trading off the Sylvan Safekeeper. Okay. And we absolutely will mill to keep our graveyard nice and full. A Stalactite Stalker. We will take that. And we will play a Stalker and a Nethergoyf. and ship the turn. Okay, so it's good to know that these decks have multiple Keen-Eye Curators. I guess it makes sense with how much graveyard synergy there is in the format to have multiples. Alright, 2 mana from the opponent. Are they eating things to shrink my creatures? No, Springheart Nantucko. Okay. So they're going to try to... Oh, and a Bojuka Bog. Okay. That is annoying, but not the end of the world. Yeah, these Cradle control decks are very well positioned to be able to hate on graveyard stuff. Wasteland, I don't hate that. We are going to go ahead and do that. Let's Wasteland away. I don't think it actually matters what we Wasteland away here, but let's kill that. And they're just going to sacrifice it. That's fine. That doesn't change anything at the moment. We are going to see if they are willing to trade anything for this Barrowgoyf just to get rid of it. I'm gonna guess probably not, but nope, not trading for the Barrowgoyf. We absolutely will do this to try to grow it. A Stalactite Stalker and a Dothy Voidwalker. I don't think we actually want either of those at the moment. Keep our graveyard as full as possible. Get a Shadow, our own black version of Broadside Bombardiers. And then ship the turn. They are very restricted on resources here. And they do not have good attacks with this Keen-Eye Curator. A Noble Hierarch, that's fine. And then are they just going to hold back? Or are they actually going to get in? No, okay. Another Wasteland, okay. I guess we will get in with our Death Touchers and see what they do. Just so that they can't block profitably in any way. Because, I mean, this Nethergoyf is basically just going to be in chump block duty. It's never going to get big enough for it to matter. Alright, they're going to block that one. Let me connect with the Barrowgoyf. Alright, connect with the Barrowgoyf. Yes, I will mill 2 cards. Ooh, Opposition Agent. Yes, please. And then I will play the Opposition Agent, shut down their search effects, play Wasteland, take out the Underground Sea, or the Underground Mortuary. They can eat something with their Keen-Eye Curator, that's fine. Give a Shroud. Okay. If their last card is a Fatal Push to take out this Opposition Agent, that kind of sucks a little bit, but it's not. They're just eating our Voidwalker, that's fine. They do have enough mana to be able to copy their Keen-Eyed Curator, though. And I'm getting to the point where attacking with the Stalactite Stalker is beneficial to us. Another Noble Hierarch, that's fine. That's just going to be on chump block duty. And now I'm at a point where I actually can attack with this Stalker. Another Barrowgoyf. Okay. I like where we're at. I am going to get in with the Stalker this time. Attack with the Death Touchers and the Stalker. Okay, they're finally giving up to Sylvan Safekeeper. Barrowgoyf connects. Mill another 2. Miss on that one. Slam out another Barrowgoyf. And ship the turn. I very much like where we're at here. 3 mana. And they scoop it up. Okay, cool. Going on to a game 3. Do I want to change anything? I don't think I do. I think we're just going to run it back. Alright, what do we got in this hand? We have a Blood Chief's Thirst into a Disruptor Flute, a Wasteland. We need a little more mana, but I don't hate this. I think we're going to keep it, give it a shot. We have a good amount of mana in the deck. Into an Ignoble Hierarch, so we probably will just kill that on turn 1. Ooh. Actually, okay, that Dark Ritual changes everything. We're going to fetch, grab a Swamp, cast a Dark Ritual, cast Blood Chief's Thirst to kill your creature, and then we're going to hit you. Hit a Bojuka Bog and a Windswept Teeth. Okay, so we took a bunch of mana out of their hand. And then we will have the mana to Bowmasters next turn. Elvish Reclaimer. Okay. I can Disruptor Flute naming Elvish Reclaimer so they can't tutor things, but then I still have to deal with a... Okay. I also could Bowmasters to kill the Dryad Arbor. They have 1 card in hand. We draw another Swamp. I think we're going to play Swamp and just flash in the Disruptor Flute now, name Elvish Reclaimer. Shut that down, pass the turn before they can tutor with it, and hope that our top decks are better than theirs. I am a little concerned about this Elvish Reclaimer just beating us down, but... Springheart Nantucko on the Dryad Arbor. A little unfortunate, because now we can't kill that with the Bowmasters. And we need to try to stabilize. A Shoulder of the Apocalypse. I mean, granted, we actually still can kill it. Like, this just straight up kills it. They get an Nantucko, and then before they can do anything else, we're going to flash in Bowmasters and kill the Nantucko. And then I just need to get enough mana to play Sheoldred or find a removal spell for this Elvish Reclaimer. Another Springheart Nantucko. Alright, so I need mana for Sheoldred, or I need to find another removal spell for this Elvish Reclaimer. Dauthi Voidwalker, that doesn't really do it. I'm going to hold back because I need to block with the Elvish Reclaimer, or block with Orcish Bowmaster. Into a White of the Reliquary. Yeah, I think they might just be out aggroing us here. Like, we just kind of went back and forth taking turns trying to aggro. But we'll see. Another Dauthi Voidwalker. Not exactly what I want. Because they're going to win this race. Like, I need removal spells. And I need them, like, yesterday. I mean, we can't do anything anyway, so we'll just F6 through the turn. Talon Gates of Madara. Okay, they can copy their Elvish Reclaimer. And they're phasing out the Voidwalker, which doesn't actually matter. Oh, they're not copying the Elvish Reclaimer. Oh, right. They can't because of Disruptor Flu. I forgot. No, it's not an activated ability. It's a triggered ability. They should be able to. And Stalactite Stalker doesn't do it. Okay. Well, just took turns out aggroing each other, but overall, put up a positive record. Deck felt really good, but we'll just on the wrap-up. Good game, opponent. Good game.
So overall, the deck actually felt really solid. It felt really well constructed. I mean, granted, the upgrades were two one-ofs, so I wasn't expecting them to completely change the way the deck played or how games played out, and they didn't really. They honestly just felt like interchangeable threats, and would have worked just as well as any other random black uh, aggro threat in the deck. But it was kind of cool seeing the weird little life play you did with Cecil, and then being able to flip into a 4/4 with lifelink. Even though it wasn't super relevant, it was pretty nice and added another way to gain life back against some aggro style decks. I will say, I know I initially compared Shadow to Broadside Bombardiers, but it is noticeably worse than Broadside. The restriction where you have to deal damage to a player to be able to throw something is actually a huge drawback when it doesn't have real evasion. Yes, it has Death Touch, which makes blocking it a pain, but your opponents will likely chump block it, or they don't want you getting the card advantage off of it, and they're willing to throw their creature away to be able to block it. So it is definitely a noticeably worse card than Broadside Bombardiers itself is. And unfortunately, we never got to fling anything with it. Also, looking at the deck, the most damage you're ever going to get off of it is 3. I mean, yes, you are an aggro deck. The 3 points of damage, essentially a lightning bolt to the face, could be what it takes to put you over the edge and give the deck a little bit of reach. But it didn't really come up at all. So I don't know if I would say that these new Final Fantasy cards are an auto include, but they're nice kind of just like interchangeable threats. I will say the deck felt really, really good up against fair stuff. Just being able to go lower to the ground, having your threats be a pain in the ass, scalable, resilient, felt really good. The amount of discard in the deck up against the slower decks to strip their hand of anything and then just beat them down felt great. The deck did feel really weak to combo in general. I mean, normally discard is really good up against combo decks, but if there's stuff like Mississippi River where they basically just want to hit land drops and then they're going to be able to combo out eventually, you can't stop the combo like that once it gets started. And you can buy a little bit of time, but you really need to have both a disruption and a threat to be able to close out the game before they're able to actually find the combo. It also felt like up against other beat down aggro strategies, such as that Cradle control match, they can just outscale our creatures if we can't get down fast enough and go under them. So I will say, I think if you're expecting a very tempo heavy meta and more fair decks that aren't trying to do creature stuff like Cradle control, the deck feels absolutely fantastic. I really wouldn't change much. The only things I probably would change are I might take out the Final Fantasy cards and throw the One Rings in the main just to have some main deck card advantage other than Mishra's Bauble. Bauble was great for growing Stalactite Stalker, but honestly wasn't really doing much else. and maybe put some more dedicated graveyard hate in the sideboard. It's nice that we have Nihil Spellbomb and Dauthi Voidwalker's main, but with the numbers I'm seeing for people just jamming oops all spells, and granted, part of it, there's kind of a conspiracy theory going around that people are actively jamming it to get it on Wizards' radar further, kind of try to manipulate the data to get it banned. But if the numbers we're seeing increasing oops are actually representative of the deck's power level and its presence in the meta going forward without trying to manipulate data, you probably want more turn zero graveyard hate to be able to deal with that, because let's face it, you're not beating oops all spells if you're on the draw. They're going to mulligan for a turn one win, and you have no way to interact with it if you don't have something like Leyline. So maybe put some ley lines in the sideboard. Maybe take out like some of the sweeper stuff. The sweepers in this deck are really slow. Filigree Silex and Powder Keg, like they're great, but they are very slow, and you might just want more dedicated graveyard hate in the sideboard if the meta is going to stay very graveyard centric going forward. But the deck was a blast to play. It functioned really well. It did exactly what it was supposed to do. It preyed on the decks it was supposed to, and it overall just felt really good. And we did get to showcase the Final Fantasy cards a little bit. We got both of them onto the battlefield. They both kind of did their thing. Granted, like I said, Shadow just got chump blocked. We never got to throw anything with it. But the Death Touch and forcing our opponent to chump block to clear out other things so that our other threats get through was relevant. So overall, it was a blast to play. Put up a positive record. It is definitely a strong deck. I think, like I said, if you're expecting a very tempo heavy meta, this is a great way to attack that. So hopefully you all enjoyed the video. Hope you had as much fun watching as I did playing. I will catch you all in the next video. And as always, stay salty. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you like what you saw. If you did, do me a favor, hit that like and sub button below. They are free ways to support the channel. And drop a comment, let me know what you like. Any kind of feedback you got, your opinions on my gameplay, the decks that I play, any of that kind of stuff. If you really like what you see, go ahead and drop by the Patreon. Become a patron, get to read some of my tournament reports and some stuff going on outside of just Magic in my life that I'm going to start putting over there as kind of my own personal blog. Also, you can do donation deck lists over there, just the price of a league if you have a specific deck you want to see, or you have an idea you want me to brew around, something like that, go ahead and do that. Nothing is required. It's always appreciated, though. Any donations go directly back into the channel, covering stuff such as leagues for donation decks or the rental program that I'm a part of. I am a small-time YouTuber. I'm doing this for fun. I really hope you all like what you saw. I truly appreciate you all stopping by. I will catch you all in the next video, and as always, stay salty.